for working families, seniors, and communities that too often get left behind. That record is why I'm endorsed by Congressman Danny K. Davis, former U.S. Senator Roland Burst, former Congressman Bobby Rush, former Secretary of State Jesse White, and Speaker of the Illinois House Chris Welch. Make your plan to vote, and on your ballot, punch 31, paid for by LaShawn K. Ford for Congress.
You're listening to WCPT 820, because facts matter.
Driving it home with Patti Vasquez, Patti Vasquez. From global conflicts to greenhouse gases, the folks refusing to wear masks says, and politicians getting caught grabbing ass says, she's driving it home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you so much for joining us as we drive it home today. It is Wednesday, and we have a great show coming up for you. Coming up in just a little bit at 5:30, we will talk to one of the candidates for a congressional seat here in Illinois. We're going to talk to Kevin Morrison. We have an event coming up that they've invited us to do stand-up comedy for. Me, Joe Kilgallen, and Tim Walco will all be performing next week. We'll tell you more about that coming up. We also are going to have Robert Held on the phone. Rob Held is an attorney here in Chicago who has captured the attention of a lot of folks who really want justice for people who are being detained in these concentration camps across the country, and for protesters. Rob Held, if you remember, was one of the individuals who was arrested by ICE agents for protesting at Broadview. For me, the moment he really grabbed my attention was when he had a bullhorn. The state troopers, the law enforcement folks in Broadview, whether it was Cook County, state, local, all those layers of law enforcement that basically they had long batons and were beating protesters indiscriminately. And he had a bullhorn and said, look, you are giving us conflicting orders. And that we see that there's so much chaos when these ICE agents descend upon a car or start tear gassing communities. And he said, look, you are giving us conflicting instructions. We don't want to escalate that. We don't have weapons. You do. At any rate, he's done a great job of, one, trying to lower the temperature at some of these protest locations. And he is standing up for the folks who are being held in detention. And, you know, some of the stories cut through all of the noise. Some of them don't. I mentioned this on Monday. There was a young man in Minneapolis. His family was here as asylum seekers. He was detained by ICE agents. He's 16 years old. He tried calling his dad. They confiscated his phone from him. His parents tried tracking him down. The Department of Homeland Security shipped him. They flew him from Minneapolis because they designated him as an unaccompanied minor because he was out by himself at the age of 16. So they decided, even though his father was looking for him, even though he had called his father with the phone they confiscated, they flew him to Michigan to a Christian retreat. And then they told his family that he would to stay there until he aged out at 18 or was adopted. And then they said they no longer had him in their custody. So they lost him. They disappeared him in the system. This is the story that cuts through. This is the one that journalists can locate. There are many more. There are over 800 children at the Dilley Detention Center in Texas alone. 2 died from measles last year during an outbreak. When they are able to get any sort of artwork out or letters out, and it made people cry, it drew the attention of journalists. What they did, rather than making life easier for them or finding family members for them, they confiscated all of their art materials, all their supplies, all the crayons, the watercolors, the pens and paper, the pencils, because they don't want us to know. And so here's my question to folks who say that we're being too caustic, that we are overreacting. When we say concentration camps, how long do we have to wait until we say that people are dying in detention, that children are being tortured, that they're being treated inhumanely? And when I post these stories on social media, I'll get this: were they here legally? These are the same people who, when a woman is raped, demand that she carry a pregnant, make her an incubator, want to make her suffer beyond, and will give more rights to her rapists. This is, you essentially, but first of all, none of what, when you're coming at me or anybody else who's telling you these stories and say, were they here legally, then you need to disregard all of you need to disclaim yourself as a Christian at all, or whatever religion that you espouse, and say that my God tells me. Because if you are a Christian, the Bible does not tell you to torture children. The Bible does not tell you that strangers in a foreign land are criminals and should be treated inhumanely. And when I say inhumanely, like, you guys just think they should be treated like monsters and animals. And again, the idea that I am supposed to be, that any of us are supposed to take you seriously when you conjure up the names of victims of violent crimes, and you don't have anything to say when it is a white young man that walks into a school with a rifle and shreds children with bullets so badly that they can only be identified by the shoes that they were wearing. Because those mass shootings by a massive amount of numbers are usually white American citizens, males. Just saying. Why am I so angry today? Oh, so because all day long I've been attacked online that Democrats couldn't even stand up when we said that when Trump said that that Americans need to be protected above immigrants being treated well. I don't even know what the lines were. Because these are the choices. Because the choices are that American citizens' lives matter more, I guess, right? The all lives matter. Oh, I'm sorry. The all lives matter crowd. The all lives matter crowd says unless they're immigrants, unless they're undocumented. The all lives matter crowd now wants to tell us that, as long as they're American citizens. I'm sorry. In the phrase "we the people," can you tell me where it says American citizens? I just want to know where because at that time, we the people were still fighting for our independence. So we weren't even at the point yet. I'm just saying. Jim, why am I yelling already? It seems so early in the show to be yelling. How are you doing?
Well, anybody would yell in these circumstances. I've got a hangover. I'm trying to date. What was the worst hangover? It's got to be 40 years. I haven't had a hangover like this.
What were you tipping back last night?
Not a thing. I was sober as a judge. But it killed me. The 2 hours absolutely killed. I'm telling you, I feel like I drank old Aaron Dry last night, but I didn't drink it. But that's how bad it was. And let's expound
Drinking
on that.
stupidity is exhausting. It's hard on the body.
How would it get with the old styles? What did you do with the old styles?
I had three. I had three old styles and half a bag of Lay's potato chips. I'm just saying. Jay's. It was Jay's. Old style and Jay's. You can't go wrong.
We drank old style in the 60s, and then they went on strike, and then Budweiser took over. But anyway, back to this immigrant. They wanted the Democrats to stand up. Did you see? The representative. She said, "You're killing Americans." You see her sign?
Yes.
You're killing Americans.
Yeah.
And not only that, but when did Reagan give everybody a break when he said, "Well, we got so many immigrants in here, we just let them all."
Yeah.
Stay, and they all settled in nicely, didn't he? That was the 80s, wasn't it? That's 40 years ago, for Pete's sake. They settled in nicely. I didn't see any crime go berserk or anything else. And the criminals, he's the criminal. What about the 13-year-old girl that they won't even take her deposition? They won't release it in the Epstein files. Now, a 55-year-old billionaire supposedly has to rape a 13-year-old girl, and that's supposed to be kosher?
Yeah. They're hiding. They're hiding these. For folks who don't know, right? You're talking about Pam Bondi not releasing the information of a young girl who was on the record alleging that she was raped by Donald Trump. which we knew, which there was a young girl, like even before when he was running for office the first time we knew. And they kept trying to bring this to the surface of our attention, and they didn't want to hear it. The media was like, oh, I don't know, it seems icky. It's, we don't really want to write about that.
Yeah, but reality is about 400,000 girls get raped every year, and they won't go to the police department because the police aren't really qualified to handle that anyway. I mean, you really need a specialist to that, and then the odds of that are about 100 to 1 anyway. So most of these rapes go reported because they don't know how to. They really don't know how to handle them, Patty. They don't know how to handle them.
No, and I look, I know there's so many layers to it, right? There's how much pain do you want to put a child through? How much can the family tolerate? How much will the legal system actually support that? I mean, like there's so many elements to it that it makes me crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
And not only that, but you've got to go to court on your own dime several times, maybe 5 times before the rapist is convicted. And if he isn't convicted, then you live in a neighborhood with a rapist, and he's no accountability to him.
Correct.
But Trump has raped God knows how many people. He did get caught for the girl in the suit for $88 million. He got caught on that rape.
Jean Carroll, Jean Carroll, right?
Yeah, he got caught. He got caught dead rights in that one. But with this, I agree with you with this. ICE thing is absolutely insane. It's insane. Where are these? What happened to the 600 people in Florida? You ever find them? What about any of these people?
Yeah, Alligator Alcatraz. I believe it was over 1,000 people who are still missing. They were wiped from the database. Yep.
Yeah, and God help you if you waxed and wait for the Palestinians, because they disappeared a lot of those people. But my point is, where are they taking these people? With no regard, this guy has got death following him. All the days was like, go back to the pandemic. In February, he told Woodward that this is a very dangerous disease. He articulated it perfectly to Woodward. But he waited a solid month. Now, he's president of the United States to let on to anybody in the U.S. how deadly this was going to be. Yeah. I mean, he has all he could think of is, what is this going to do to my chances to get reelected? And the reason he wants to get reelected so bad because Eileen Cannon, if she wasn't down in Florida,
oh my God, this daffy broad,
he'd be in jail, and he'd be in jail on so many things. Look at the first impeachment when he extorted Zelensky. Think of this: he extorts Zelensky. He says, well, was it his money to give or take? But apparently he thinks any money is his money. But he said to Zelensky, just say it. All you got to do is say it. We know it doesn't matter if he did it or not. But the point is, he tried to pin Hunter Biden was stealing maybe $1 million. I mean, it's chicken feed compared to what they're stealing. What is his kids stealing every day?
I know. As long as it's them, as long as it's not the Democrats, as long as those libtards aren't doing it, they're fine with that. As long as it's not a liberal, as long as it's not a Democrat, that's all they want is to own the liberals.
But why are the Democrats held to such higher standard, even in the media?
I know. Yeah.
If there's a scandal, I mean, Benghazi, the thing with Hunter Biden, I mean, they made a federal case out of it. I haven't heard that Trump's two children mentioned ever on the news.
No, I know.
So we're held to a higher standard. We're held to a higher standard, Patty.
1,000%.
But I agree with you. This is just barbaric, the way they're running this. They can't. How can you possibly be the United States of America, the land of the free and the brave, have a Statue of Liberty in New York that says we want your huddled and poor masses to breathe free, and this is what we're doing to people?
I know.
I mean, come on. It's insane. Anyway, Patty, what a horror. Did you watch it? You watched the whole thing or what?
I made it to about an hour or something, and then I was like, I'll just record the rest of this. I can't. It was too much. It was
torture. Yeah. It was torture. Anyway,
but I do want to thank Pride Coffee Roasters for sponsoring my evening of watching it. So thank you so much to Pride Coffee Roasters. Thanks, Chip.
You need a sponsor, Patty.
Exactly. Have a good one. Bye, Jim. And of course, Pride Coffee Roasters, sponsor of Driving It Home with me, Patti Vasquez. I love their coffee. Actually, the coffee I have right now, the bag I have been enjoying every single the single origin roasted beans from Rwanda, which are absolutely wonderful. And then now I'm trying to remember I think it's nutty chocolate and caramelized brown sugar, I believe, are the notes of my Rwanda coffee beans. Go to pridecoffeeroasters.com and put in an order. Maybe you want to have a bean subscription, and that way you can have their incredible coffee delivered to your house every single month, or you can find a place for a pickup. They will be at the Edgewater Farmers Market this Saturday. That's February 28th. That's the Edgewater Farmers Market at the Broadway Armory. And it's a great market. I will probably see them again this Saturday morning, again, February 28th. Go to pridecoffeeroasters.com to see where they'll be in your neck of the woods. I know they'll be back in Jefferson Park on March 22nd. Again, that's pridecoffeeroasters.com. Something that started as a hobby because they just wanted to see if they could roast coffee beans has turned into this incredible small business. And every cup of coffee is like a love letter in a mug. Every bag of coffee you buy is like another chapter that they get to write. So please go to pridecoffeeroasters.com. We also want to thank our friends at Source Solar. Go to source.solar, make an appointment with Peter Sorellis. Maybe it's time to get solar panels on your house or business. Spring is right around the corner, and it would be great to get the ball rolling right now. Source.solar. And Minocqua Brewing Company. Go to MinocquaBrewingCompany.com and maybe put in an order for some progressive beers. They have incredible beers, including the Freedom Trail, one of my favorites. You know, soon it's going to be spring, so the Tammy Shandy should be good to go very soon. Go to MinocquaBrewingCompany.com. Please subscribe to the Substack as well. And we'll be right back after this on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal. Oh, and Are You Really Winning? We are going to be partnering again with our friends from the Are You Really Winning campaign. March is a gambling addiction awareness month, and we'll be telling you more about that in the days and weeks to come. As you know, I am the child of a gambling addict, and I love my father, and I know that a program like Are You Really Winning would have helped him and my family a lot. So learn more at areyoureallywinning.org. We'll find more about that in a little bit more in a moment.
Stephanie Miller.
My personal comedy Jesus.
People are standing up. We're seeing it all over the place. This 21-year-old girl in Colombia who sued the Trump administration because they tried to Mahmoud Khalil her, and they backed down. Jeffrey Goldberg is doing this, and they're backing down. People are showing up to vote in special elections. Guys, these guys are so beatable, and they're messy, and they're sloppy, and they're dumb. Let's keep it up.
We love you, Tom Fugelsang.
Stephanie Miller. Weekday mornings, 8 to 11 on WCPT 820.
Raise the bar on performance and style in a brand new Porsche from the Porsche Exchange in Highland Park. Browse and test drive our extensive selection, like the 2026 Porsche Macan. Right now, lease the 2026 Macan for only $949 a month for 39 months. Discover performance like no other when you visit the Porsche Exchange in Highland Park or PorscheExchange.com. 8,519 due signing for qualified buyers. Excludes tax, title, license, and doc fee. No security deposit required. Expires 3/2/26.
In times of uncertainty, we need leaders who put country before party. Dan Tully answered that call, serving our nation with honor.
I served in the Army Reserve and as a federal civil servant. But when the Trump agenda threatened our democracy, I refused to stay silent. I left my job in Washington in protest of Trump's lawlessness.
Dan Tully is the only candidate with a detailed plan to hold Trump accountable, a veteran, a principled leader, and ready to fight for you.
Visit DanTully.com to see my comprehensive strategy for accountability. I'm Dan Tully, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Dan Tully for Congress.
You're listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
If you're listening to this station right now, you've definitely heard my voice before. Hi, I'm Hawk.
And I'm Pete. And we're with Source Solar, your local source for solar. Source Solar is Chicagoland's premier solar installer, providing solutions for over 1,000 homeowners and business owners across Illinois and Iowa.
With over a decade of industry experience and deep roots here in Chicago, we have the expertise to help your transition to clean, renewable, resilient energy.
We can guarantee that we save you money day one without any out-of-pocket cost to you. This means you have an instant ROI, instant payback, and can save money to add to your bottom line day one.
At Source Solar, we source everything as local as possible, meaning we always carry the Made in USA sticker.
Find us online at www.source.solar. Stop in our office at 5710 North Northwest Highway or give us a call at 773-985-3992.
And don't forget to ask for Hawk
or Pete.
Patti Vasquez is taking your calls now.
All right, let's hit it.
At 773-763-9278.
I got a lot to say.
It's Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
Hi, I am taking your phone calls, and we also have the text screen open. Again, same number, 773-763-9278. That's 773-763-WCPT. Want to spell it out? Quite the also, I don't know if you guys have seen this news that Cuba has reported that they fired on what seems to be a speedboat and killed 4 Americans, injuring 6 others. So this will be an interesting story as it develops. What is happening? And then Iran and Nancy's on the phone. Nancy, what is on your mind, my friend?
What mind, Patty? What mind? My mind is gone. I'm right there with you about screaming and stuff. I've been screaming since 2015, but, and we don't have a chance. And I'm not saying I'm giving up. I will fight to my death for my country. But I'll tell you, that's exactly what it's going to come to. It's going to be we the people, because this undemocratic two-party system isn't working. 200 years and they still don't get it. Why is the majority not? We should be having the run of the country for the last at least 100 years. And what have they done? Nothing. Why was that scum, low-life, mindless, worthless piece of garbage on our television again last night, when he should have never been allowed in our White House in the first place? And I'll tell you right now, I'm no brain surgeon. I'm no rocket scientist. I could have beat that scumbag in 2016. Democrat, we have no choice. I have no party. I am not a Democrat because I wouldn't take these guys if you threw them at me. And another thing is, the Democratic Party is not a united party.
No.
We've got to get rid of moderate Democrats.
There are a lot of layers to this, right? And over again, whichever party it is, whatever label we put on it, right? Republican, Democrat, but when conservatives want power, they manipulate through fear and anger. Right. I mean, we can look at the Civil War. All the people that want to say that the Democrats were slave owners. Fine. They were. And they were also the conservative party at the time. Abraham Lincoln was a progressive who was able to make decisions based on new information as he went along. He went either with what history told him, with what the law told him, and then made decisions based on new experiences, right? He didn't think that blacks and whites could even live in this country together until he learned through his experiences with black soldiers and how they fought for this country on the side of the Union. I'm just using it as an example that, the problem is that liberals have a lot of different ideas for solutions. We have plans for policies. All they have is fear and anger.
No, that's exactly why it's not a two-party country, and we're never going to achieve, the majority will never be in control. We've been ruled by the minority from day one, and we will never get control because we can't have only two parties to choose from.
Well,
and the Democrats aren't united because if it wasn't for these damn moderate Democrats, we would have had control a long time ago. Should I mention Joe Manchin or Kirsten
God,
Sinema?
Yeah. You're not wrong there. You're not right. Or Fetterman, any of them. There's a ton.
Exactly.
Yep.
And we don't have enough. The other problem is we don't have enough progressives. And why aren't there enough in there yet? Because they ignored and they fought Bernie Sanders from day one.
Right.
That poor guy, I can't believe he's still in there, and I hope to God he's in there forever. But he's been fighting not only the cons and all their BS, he's been fighting the moderate Democrats.
We definitely need.
Because, God forbid, we can't have democratic socialists. Oh, God.
Well, and that's a whole nother conversation. I've got to run to another phone call before we get to the break. Thank you so much, Nancy. Have a good night.
Well, what party do I go to?
Oh, hey, I'm only voting with the party that most closely reflects what I want to see, and I do the best.
Now we have to be forced to do this, but that's because everything's out of control. We have a lawless country now. We have a so-called president, which he isn't. He was never duly elected. And now when he turns around and says, screw you, I'm going to do it anyway, who's going to fight back?
Well, and that's the problem. The court's telling him one thing, he does whatever he wants anyway. Have a great night, Nancy. I've got to get to another phone call. Here's Paul in Seattle. Hey, Paul, what's on your mind, my friend?
Well, I could tolerate, I guess, about the first half an hour.
Right? Yeah. I mean, the hockey team, applause for them, and a girl hurt in a car accident that if an undocumented migrant hadn't been, I mean, if any person who caused a horrible crime or an accident wasn't here, I mean, we'd all, look, believe me, I would be much better off if an American white male citizen hadn't killed my brother or raped me. I mean, I also would like that not to have happened, but I'm not asking for anyone to give me applause, but I will bring it up every time I have to hear these BS stories. Anyway, what were you saying?
Well, I don't know. I understand Nancy's dismay about the two parties, but the conversation has become, all we hear about is billions and trillions of dollars. This is America now. We don't hear about quality of life, even in general terms. About put it this way. Growing up, I was, I guess, middle class. We had enough, and adequate and enough is what we had. We didn't have any extra, and we were perfectly happy. Christmases were fine. Nothing was extravagant. Mostly it was about making mom-made cookies and candy and stuff like that. But, I mean, all we hear about now is trillions. It's all about this. And I got to tell you, the trolls that you get on your Facebook page, look, Patty, young American males, and I'm not even going to distinguish race, they're stupid, okay? Young American men are stupid, and that's why they fall for this crap. They think they're macho, and I don't know I have no respect for them. I guess they would be, the Charlie Kirk generation I guess they would be the kids of my first high school and junior high school students, and I was worried about them. And boy, their kids have really turned out to be a wreck. But it was a meaningless marathon of just crap, and I think the Governor Sandbergers said it was meaningless, and it did not address anything, and it's all about the rich. And by the way, you talk about the economy and him talking about. I'll tell you what. Two things. When he said gasoline, I saw in Iowa gasoline at $1.85 a gallon. No, you didn't see anything. You didn't even look. But when I hear him say that, if that's true, then why the hell is gas still nudging $4 a gallon here? If the oil companies can make money at $1.85 a gallon in Iowa, how come they can't make money at $1.85 here? That's one thing. And then the other thing I have to say, I'll just close this way. I really want to get email Matt Cummings and say, we don't need to hear Jessica Ettinger tell us about how the rich are doing in the stock report every couple of hours. We just don't need to hear it. And her cheering on the Dow as it climbs. But, let me tell you something. She had a reputation. She was here for about 15, I guess it was at least 15 years ago. She was here in Seattle. And she had a reputation. Let me tell you, her reputation was marrying every doctor and lawyer she could get her hands on. And then she finally got out of here because nobody liked her. But, that's the kind of person she is. I think gold digger is the phrase that they use. And I hate hearing that. I can't stand her voice. And the Dow is up. I do. No, and it's over 50,000. It's like, just shut up. We don't need to hear how the rich are doing in the stock market.
Well, especially, it is very important during a hearing regarding Jeffrey Epstein and the horrible, traumatizing acts, the human trafficking, the sexual assault. We definitely need to hear Pam Bondi say, what we need to know is the Dow Jones is over 50,000. Why are you? Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Over $50,000. She said over $50,000. Well, I'll tell you what, the Dow Jones has not been a barometer of the economy and at least 50, but probably more like 60 years. The stock market has not been even a remote barometer of how the economy and how most people are doing in at least 50 to 60 years. And so I don't even know why it's just kind of like, as a matter of course, we have to hear the business in the stock report because it's kind of like, it's been on the radio forever. I'm sick of it. And I'm going to email Matt and tell him, get rid of that, or Mark, or whatever.
Yeah.
And just say, we don't need to hear that. Find something else that's more meaningful to the listeners of WCPT because we don't need to hear that. And you know what? I'll just tell you real quickly. I was given a seminar last weekend, and I was talking about a case, a Supreme Court case from 200 years ago, and it had to do with whether or not the states could tax the federal government. And the court said that, no, you can't do that because taxation is equivalent to practically elimination. You could tax something out of existence. And then it occurred to me while I was teaching the class, well, then why don't we tax the damn billionaires out of existence? Because all they do, they're a drag and a suck on the economy because all the money that's in their bank account or part of their wealth is not circulating between your hand and my hand.
Exactly.
And that's what makes an economy.
Yep. They ship it offshore so they can make passive money off of it, too. I got to run. It's super late, and Lady B's got to deal with both of us later. More in a moment. Thanks, Paul. More in a moment on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal. We've got your phone calls. Text 773-763-9278. We'll be right back after this on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal and KKNW 1150. We're so glad you're here.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
I'm meteorologist Ray Miller from the Weatherology Weather Center. Partly cloudy skies tonight with temperatures falling back to around 25 degrees. Northwest winds around 5 miles an hour. Sunny and mild Thursday, 43 for the high with light southwest winds. Friday, sunshine, even warmer. High temperature near 60 degrees with southwest winds at up to 30 miles an hour. Saturday, a little bit of light snow with colder temperatures, a high of 37 degrees. That's the latest Chicago weather update. Right now, it's 36.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter.
It's the Democracy, Stupid, with Edwin Eisendrath.
The Oval Office, the inner sanctum of the executive branch, after all, is now draped in gold leaf. The site of the former Rose Garden has been paved over, now dubbed the Rose Garden Club. It's a place without roses or a garden, but located near the Oval Office, it's a convenient spot for Trump's oligarchs to gather while they wait for an audience.
Saturdays at 1 p.m. on WCPT 820.
Hi, I'm Pat Hines, candidate for Cook County Assessor. Cook County families deserve stability, not confusion and surprises. After 8 years of promised reform, taxpayers are still facing late bills, sudden tax spikes, and ongoing uncertainty. The Chicago Tribune uncovered hundreds of millions of dollars in property missing from the tax rolls, shifting the burden onto you. When assessments are wrong, families pay more than their fair share. It's time for accuracy. It's time for accountability.
Paid for by Hines for Assessor. Experience one of opera's most heartbreaking love stories. Puccini's Madama Butterfly at Lyric Opera of Chicago, March 14th through April 12th. With soaring melodies, stunning visuals, and powerful emotion, Madama Butterfly tells the tragic tale of a young woman's devotion and sacrifice. Don't miss this unforgettable masterpiece that continues to move audiences around the world. Madama Butterfly. Tickets at lyricopera.org.
Alexa, play WCPT.
WCPT from TuneIn.
Chicago continues to lead the way with progressive values and in preserving democracy. Your support of the Minocqua Brewing Company Super PAC efforts in Wisconsin and beyond strengthens the fight against MAGA Republicans. You can now purchase progressive beers like Labor Lager, Love Wins Fruited Sour, and the Resistance IPA in Chicago at Rogers Park Provisions, Diversity Beer, Wine, and Spirits in Lakeview, Park West Liquor, Wine, and Beer in Lincoln Park, Logan Square Liquors, and Tip Top Food and Liquors in Westtown. Visit MinocquaBrewingCompany.com for all their Chicagoland locations. As always, no matter how bad our sports teams are, please drink responsibly.
Welcome back to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you so much for joining us as we drive it home. I'm so thrilled to welcome back to the studio Cook County Commissioner Kevin Morrison, who is running to be the congressman of the 8th Congressional District. There's so many candidates, not just in this race, but all over the state, of course. Illinois has a lot of moving parts right now. How are you doing today, sir?
Oh, I cannot wait for March 18th. 9.5 months on the campaign trail is a lot, but you know what?
God.
I'm ready to get there, and I'm ready to win this battle.
Good golly. And and here's the thing. I mean, it's hard because you're running against Democrats, right? So there's a lot of good people in this race. And there are people this is definitely where we should be wary, right? What are you hearing? I know we talked about this before, but you're outdoor knocking, you're at events, you're trying to get your message out. We've heard a lot about affordability. Is that the primary thing? And what aspect? Is it housing? Is it groceries? What are you hearing from voters?
I mean, all the above. Childcare, healthcare, the ability to afford higher education, housing, you name it. Of course, that is a top tier issue. But when I'm out talking to Democrats, the first thing they tell me is we need Trump out of office. Right. That is a common theme at the doors.
Well, and I think you heard Mike Johnson say that if Republicans don't hold the line and win all their races, which they're losing pretty much in every single special election they've lost. So this is, I mean, this has been a seat held by Democrats for quite a while. What do you see as your role in that then? If your voters are telling you the number one thing is to get Trump out, what do you see as that path?
Well, first,
in your role?
The moment I win this primary, making sure that I am stumping across this nation to get great candidates across the finish line in their primaries, and then in every single swing district around the nation, go in and stumping for them. Because this will be, Kevin Morrison wins this primary, it will be safely blue come November, and that allows me to go and help out other great candidates. But, right now we're a case study. Illinois is seeing a ton of dark money come in. This is the first time artificial intelligence companies.
Oh, my God.
Now, it's like being endorsed by Skynet and the Terminator, but these companies support zero regulation. So incredibly dangerous. And, of course, no one should be surprised which candidate in this race they're backing. And you know what? That is what we're combating against. And we need someone who understands the middle class, who has a record of taking on Republicans and winning, and who genuinely cares about making their residents' lives better.
The AI aspect is terrifying. And we'll probably talk about that at some other point when you've gotten through all of this, because right now we're talking about the voters of your district. For those who aren't familiar with the 8th Congressional District, that I know Schaumburg's in there. That seems like a pretty big chunk of the 8th District, but let people know in case they're not entirely sure, and where they can find out where they are.
Of course. So if Raja Krishnamurthy is your current Congress member, that's the 8th Congressional. It has a little bit of Chicago and Norridge. It goes up to Rosemont, then Des Plaines. The Des Plaines portion goes all the way out to Kane County, Elgin, Pingree Grove, and then that individual portion of Kane, north to Carpentersville, south to St. Charles, Geneva, Batavia, over the Rolling Meadows area. There's an arm up to Palatine, includes several municipalities within Des Plaines, Wooddale, Carroll Stream, Addison, Itasca, Medina, Bloomingdale.
Wow, these districts really cracked me up. You saw me reach over because I realized I had a listener on hold who wanted to talk about the State of the Union. He also is a resident of Des Plaines. Steve is a veteran. He has returned to school in his 70s at Northeastern Illinois University to get his degree in political science and history. Is that right, Steve?
That's right. That's right.
So here's your Cook County Commissioner on the line with you, and I believe he's running for your congressional seat. Commissioner, did you watch the State of the Union last night?
I unfortunately had a candidate for him the last one of this campaign.
No one's saying that you had to watch it. Not watching it is also entirely encouraged.
Had I been a member of Congress, I would have shown up and I would have made a statement and I would have brought attention to the craziness of what this president represents.
And what were your thoughts, Steve?
Well, first off, I've got a hugely overpowered cup of caffeine coffee, so I'm hydrated, just to let you know along those lines. And as the official history major of the Patti Vasquez show, I wanted to, you mentioned about Lincoln. Lincoln was very measured in his approach.
Yes.
You talked about his approach towards to sign the Emancipation Proclamation. He was very gentle going into that, and he knew when to strike. He knew when the moment was strike. He didn't want to blow it. He was brilliant. I mean, he was great. He was greatness personified. And then when he saw that the black soldiers were getting along with their white counterparts, he said, "Well, maybe they can get along." Because he was all for letting the freed slaves go back to Africa. He thought that was
Liberia, I believe, that was part of the plan. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that's very interesting. That's like, but I wanted to address too Nancy. I mean, I love Nancy. I hear her a lot on the shows on 820. We can't go into histrionics with this. I mean, like the sky is falling. We got to just get tough.
Yeah,
and we got it's a two-party system. That's just the way it is.
Yeah,
it's just the way it is.
I agree.
So
thank you, Steve. Unless we get to ranked choice voting, but that's let's get through all the madness before we can even have rational conversations about that.
One last thing, if I may. What Paul was saying about young males are so stupid. Young males have always been stupid. They've always been stupid.
Well, here,
I'm a 36-year-old history junkie.
There you go. Before we go, Steve, do you have a question for the candidate for your 8th Congressional District?
Quite frankly, yes, sir, I was... I'm in A's. I'm in the Plains. You're right near downtown Des Plaines. And quite frankly, I wasn't aware that it's huge. The district is huge, or encompasses a wide swath. And correct me if I'm wrong. Now, Christian Murdy... Now, is he leaving office, or will he maintain it if he loses the senator?
No,
senatorial list?
He's vacating the seat. He's vacating the seat for this race to run for Senate.
And I'm vacating my commissioner seat to run for this office.
There you
go. So you're burning your bridges behind you.
No, it's not burning a bridge. He's just not running for both, as some people might be in other races, which we don't have to discuss here.
Quickly. Very good. Well,
all right, thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks, Steve. Well, and that's the thing is for folks, the work that you've done as a Cook County Commissioner, tell folks about that role and how it informs what you want to do in Congress.
Yeah, first and foremost, Cook County is the second largest county in the entire nation. We have an over $10 billion budget, and we have critical responsibilities, mostly in the healthcare and public safety realm. But as a commissioner, I've been able to get major things done. I created Cook County's brand new Department of Mental and Behavioral Health. At a time where voting rights are under attack, I made us the second most language inclusive voting block in the entire nation, expanding language access from 4 to 12 languages. I made reproductive health and gender identity protected classes for 5.2 million people. I actually brought protections for 245,000 renters in suburban Cook. So these are important responsibilities. I currently represent 325,000 people.
What?
And I'm excited to hopefully be able to expand on that, bringing fight to Congress, getting it functioning again, and finally seeing policies that help the working and middle class do better.
And where do people learn more? We're going to continue our conversation with candidate for the 8th Congressional seat.
Please join us online at kevinmorrisonforcongress.com.
And we have an event coming up on Tuesday with Joe Kilgallen and Tim Walco that I'll tell you more about. We were invited to be a part of this event. We are available for all events. It does not mean neither here nor there, but I do enjoy our conversations with Congressman, candidate for the 8th Congressional seat, Kevin Morrison, who is currently the Cook County Commissioner with what district would that be?
8th Congressional District. I'm the Commissioner for the 15th. And I'm running in the 8th, and you're willing it into being.
There you go. Let's take a break here. We'll continue our conversation on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal and KKNW 1150. If you have any questions, you can also text us at 773-763-9278. You have two history nerds in studio, so we are happy to talk to you about a range of topics. More after this. We're so glad you're here.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
WCPT Radio is going to Will County to meet and interview Will County Democrats running in the March 17th primary. Meet me, WCPT's Joan Esposito, and Will County Democrats Thursday, March 5th at Mojo's Cajun and Caribbean Restaurant located on Lockport Avenue, 1 block west of Route 59 in downtown Plainfield. Candidates being interviewed include Will County Undersheriff Dan Jungles running for Will County Sheriff, Michelle Stiff running for Will County Clerk, School District Superintendent Teresa Rouse running for Regional Office of Education Superintendent, and several county board candidates. Will County Democratic candidates will be interviewed live on the Joan Esposito Show. It's all happening Thursday, March 5th from 2 to 5 p.m. at Mojo's in Plainfield. For directions, call Mojo's at 815-230-2790.
Excuse me, miss. Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Can you recommend a bank that offers a full suite of commercial banking products along with excellent service?
Yes, ABOC.
What about a bank that has been in Chicago for more than 100 years and really understands the local business climate?
ABOC.
But I manage a labor union. Can you recommend a bank that really understands how labor unions operate and what banking products they need?
Again, ABOC. ABOC first opened its doors in downtown Chicago in 1922 and understands the local business climate better than anyone. ABOC was founded by labor unions and still has union employees and shareholders today. So they really understand how unions tick and how their needs may be different. But whether you're with a labor union or another type of business, whether you're large or small or something in between, ABOC will always make you feel like you're their most important customer. Visit ABOC.com to learn more.
Wow, thank you, random person on the street. I'm going to visit ABOC.com today.
Member FDIC.
Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Welcome back to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you so much for joining us. We continue to drive it home. Joining me in studio is Cook County Commissioner Kevin Morrison. He's the commissioner for the 15th District. He's running to be the congressman of the 8th Congressional District here in Illinois. And we talked a little bit off the air about some of the issues that are important to folks. I have been stressing how dangerous the actions of ICE agents have been. And it's mind-boggling to me. Did you see the whistleblower testimony last week in the hearings? Oh, my God.
I missed that.
So there's an attorney who quit specifically to blow the whistle on how he was told to not explain the Fourth Amendment, like search and seizure and things like that. And so as a congressman, and your oath to the Constitution, which I would think is preeminent, like how do we move on from this lawlessness, like not holding people accountable? What do you envision in that aspect with ICE and DHS and all that?
Yeah, first and foremost, I've taken 3 oaths to uphold our Constitution, both of the United States and the state of Illinois. The third time was when I became an attorney, and instead of getting a wealthy, paying, legal
no regrets,
job,
Kevin.
I know,
Commissioner, no regrets.
What did I do? I immediately jumped in this race for Congress, but I'm sorry, we need to hold ICE accountable right now. It is insane. I am so inspired by all the students walking out in this moment. I just joined Palatine High School students this afternoon. Go Palatine High School. All the high schools, even some of our junior highs and elementary schools have been walking up and standing up. I'm proud as a commissioner that I supported our resolution and supported due process and habeas corpus. We called for the unmasking, the identification, and the need for body-worn camera. But how do we uphold our Constitution? For one, we need to win back the House and regain all the powers that have been stolen by this unhinged executive. Donald Trump is a disaster, but we need to legislate to ensure that, for one, the powers go back to where they belong, but also that no future presidents could ever do this again.
Yes.
And for one, the first thing I would do as a congressperson, these 60,000 new hires that have been brought on by ICE, they need to be immediately put on leave. There are rumors that Jan Sixthers, who had been pardoned, are now doing immigration enforcement actions in our streets. It is terrifying.
Yes. Yeah, the number of hours that they were supposed, over 540 hours originally DHS agents, ICE agents were supposed to be trained. It's been cut in half. They're not learning the Constitution. They're not learning language, right? At any rate, I appreciate that. And I think accountability is a big part of that. What do you also see as far as, when we talk about affordability, and let's talk about price gouging, right? Yeah. And again, with this Supreme Court decision last week about the tariffs, and he went on TV and whined about it. Talk about accountability. He's like, well, I'm just going to do this 15% tariff globally, and even though it's temporary, nothing matters. There's no guardrails here, are there?
Yeah. Well, I forgot one thing from the last point.
Yes.
Kristi Noem needs to be impeached.
Yes.
And every illegal action done by ICE needs to see full justice in our courts. That goes without question. But in terms of these tariffs and in terms of what this president has done, all of our costs have risen, right? I mean, we put tariffs on countries that export construction materials. No wonder why housing prices continue to balloon. But everyday goods, food, it is just insanity. So I'm glad that we finally saw, one bright spot out of this Supreme Court, which,
I was surprised.
We can talk about the Supreme Court too and how I want to fix them. But
let's go.
we need to start actually investing in our working and middle class families. And that means dealing with every single loophole that allows the wealthiest amongst us to skirt by without paying their fair share. That needs to be addressed. And we finally need to give breaks to our working and middle class families. And one thing I've been stumping on is scrapping the cap when it comes to Social Security. We give a tax break to anyone who makes over $174,000 a year. Why do they need that break? They should be paying into the system so future generations could continue to rely on this life-saving program.
For folks who don't know, that cap, so after $174,000, you don't have to pay into Social Security anymore. Is that right?
Every single dollar you make over that, you don't have to pay.
Yeah, it's astounding to me. People that fight for the wealthiest, for the most powerful, the ones that have had a disproportionate impact on our elections, and they want them to have more. Isn't that wild?
It is wild, and that's why we need to send a working class commissioner to Congress. I got my stump before going on and running for office, serving pizzas at my family's pizzeria. So we need someone who actually understands how to get their hands dirty and get things done, and understands the issues that everyday people are going through.
Yeah, you've collaborated with colleagues at a political level as a Cook County commissioner. You've talked to constituents. As you mentioned, you've served over 350,000 people in your. Is that right?
325,000.
Oh, 325. I apologize to the non-existent
766,000.
Oh, there we go. There we go. So you mentioned that you have a vision for what needs to be done with the Supreme Court. You can talk a little bit about that if you'd like.
Well, I am in full support of term limits. Mm-hmm. For one, the power grab that has stolen so many seats, it needs to be addressed. But also we need ethical reforms that also cover our Supreme Court. Every other judge and court in this nation has firm ethical rules, but our Supreme Court doesn't. That needs to be changed. If there was the will to expand the court, once we get a Democratic president, of course. But I mean, we've seen 2 seats already stolen within the last decade. Something needs to be done.
Yeah, that was absolute madness. I agree with you on that. When it comes to what's going on internationally, I mean, people are worried about what's going on in Iran, what's going on in Ukraine. And not just that, but we're not trustworthy in other countries anymore, are we?
I mean, we haven't been for a long time. There was some moments of recovery, depending on the administration. But, I mean, where is our Congress in this moment? They're the ones who have the war powers. And we are now on the brink of potentially going into Iran. I'm hearing about this all the time. What a disaster that could be. Yeah. And you know what? That's also putting our military lives at risk. So I just wish we had more people with backbone in Congress upholding our constitutional oaths to office.
For folks who are not aware, we are in the middle of a primary. Early voting has started, right? What do you want folks to know about early voting and voting in person, and what how their ballot needs to be counted?
Yeah,
vote in the primaries, folks.
Everyone needs to vote. When it comes to that mail-in ballot, as soon as you get it, you should fill it out and get it back in the mail. But my biggest recommendation is drop it off at a ballot drop-off box area, because that is one of the best ways to guarantee your vote is counted. Because right now, this administration has done everything to slow roll our mail delivery systems. So also I'd say look up the candidates. Look who's actually running. I've earned over 190 endorsements in my race. I am working incredibly hard. I am not one of the 5 multimillionaires running of the 8 of us. And you know what? We continue to punch above our weight class, and I hope to earn everyone's support.
Let's do your pitch to our audience. You've got a minute to give your entire platform, your pitch, your stump speech to your voters.
Well, I would say, first and foremost, I'm the only candidate in this race that has served 7 years in office. I have demonstrated that I could run against Republicans and win. I flipped a district blue for the first time in history, beating the chairman of the Illinois Republican Party and becoming Cook County's youngest and first openly LGBT commissioner. I'd also be our first LGBT member representing Chicago and the surrounding suburbs. I grew up in the 8th Congressional District. I'm from there. I didn't move in to run like many of the candidates, or Melissa Bean, who still lives outside the district in Quigley's district. And thank God I've gotten Quigley's endorsement in this race alongside Jan Schakowsky and the Illinois Federation of Teachers. And that's because our teachers know that I am going to be dedicated to our public schools, to making sure that every resident in the United States has access to high quality public education. But what I'm dedicated to affordable healthcare, affordable higher education, affordable childcare, housing. We need investments in everyday people, and that's what I'm going to fight for every single day in Congress. And folks could join me on social media. Kevin Morrison for Congress.com is the website. We've got our fundraiser at Real Time Sports in Elk Grove Village coming up this Tuesday from 6 to 8:30. So it's a way to support us. And if you are driving home right now toward Wooddale, I'll be at the Wooddale Library at 7 p.m. tonight for our town hall. And we've got more town halls to come before Election Day.
I wrote down where I'm going to be on Tuesday. I will be at Real Time Sports on Tuesday along with Joe Kilgallen and our good friend Tim Walko. So that'll be a fun evening. We're doing some events around the area to get Democrats together and to learn more about the candidates in their race. So again, the website is
Kevin Morrison for Congress.com. And for our 8th congressional voters, don't let the dark money win. We've got a lot of it coming into our race, but I don't think our voters' votes can be bought. They are going to make sure they're putting a strong fighter who actually cares about 8th district residents in Congress.
Your campaign person's like, I think he went over a minute. That's because I asked him another question. He did great. Thank you so much for joining us, Commissioner, and I wish you the very best. And look forward to let us know if you have anything coming up that you want people to know about. Go to the website, find out how you can support. Well, first learn. Yeah. Learn about the campaign, and then see how you want to help out. Thank you so much, sir. It was a pleasure to see you, and I'll see you on Tuesday.
Thank you so much, Patty. See you Tuesday. Join us at the doors, on the phones, or at our events.
And don't forget, go to Dino's Pizza and Italian food over there on Higgins. More after this on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal and KKNW 1150. Thank you all so much for being here. Sorry I'm late, Lady B.
If you're looking to purchase a loved one's home after they passed away, you need to call Team Hochberg, your trusted local lender. Pam wanted to purchase her grandmother's $400,000 home after she passed away, which was left to Pam's father, Ted, and her Aunt Betty. Ted listens to my show and wanted to forego his half of the equity of his mom's home and sell Pam the home for $200,000. Bad move. I recommended Pam purchase the home for $400,000 and get a gift of equity from her father, Ted, for $200,000, which enabled Pam to purchase the home with a lower rate and no money out of her pocket. Let's review. I helped Pam purchase her grandmother's home without having to bring a penny to the closing and secure a lower rate. Team Hochberg's helped thousands of radio listeners, but we can't help if you don't call 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. That's 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. Lower.com, equal housing lender, MLS 112-4061.
Amazon Business empowers leaders with smart business buying tools, leaving time to focus on strategy and growth. Free up your teams and focus on your future at AmazonBusiness.com.
AP News, I'm Ben Thomas. The FBI served search warrants at the Los Angeles Unified School District headquarters today and the home of its superintendent, Alberto Carballo. Jennifer King has a report.
TV news footage showed agents in FBI shirts and jackets outside Carvalho's modest home in the San Pedro neighborhood. A person familiar with the probe says it's part of an ongoing investigation. At the beginning of the school year, Carvalho told CBS News it was clear that amid federal immigration crackdowns, there was a lot of fear in families that he described as having fragile immigration status. He said the district was working with a number of cities to develop and implement a set of rapid awareness and communication protocols and doing what they could to lessen fear among parents. The nature of the investigation was not immediately clear. I'm Jennifer King.
Vice President J.D. Vance says the Trump administration's decided to
temporarily halt certain amounts of Medicaid funding that are going to the state of Minnesota in order to ensure that the state of Minnesota takes its obligations seriously to be good stewards of the American people's tax money.
The move part of a larger administration effort to spotlight alleged fraud around the country. Cuba says its forces have killed 4 people aboard a speedboat that opened fire on soldiers in Cuban waters. The Interior Ministry offered few details, but said the boat was registered in Florida. Meantime, Karen Shamas reports Iran's pushing back against President Trump.
The tensions come ahead of critical talks in Geneva on Thursday over Tehran's nuclear program.
They're working to build missiles that will soon reach the United States of America.
Responding on X, Iran's foreign ministry spokesman dismissed Trump's remarks at the State of the Union as big lies. Meanwhile, Iran's parliament speaker said the US could either engage in diplomacy or face the wrath of Iran if it attacks. America has assembled its biggest deployment of aircraft and warships into the Middle East in decades. I'm Karen Shamas.
This is AP News. When a nor'easter brings as much snow as it did this week, it tends to hang around.
Once again, shovels scraping pavement along parts of the East Coast where people are removing snow after another round. This time a lot less, says National Weather Service forecaster Bob Oravec.
It wasn't a major accumulation, but again, just some additional insult to injury.
But he says another round is in the forecast.
We have the potential maybe on Monday for another potential heavy snow event across parts of the Ohio Valley, Midwest into the Northeast.
New Yorker Haley Glickman-Hawk, who is out shoveling, says she used to live in Boston, which got even more snow, and hopes it doesn't get that bad here.
Where you're like packing in the snow to try to get more on top of the pile without it falling off. We haven't hit that yet.
Power outages, flight delays and cancellations, traffic accidents, and other weather-related issues continue in some parts of the Northeast due to the snow. Julie Walker, New York.
There's more news at apnews.com. I'm Ben Thomas. Thanks for listening.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
I'm meteorologist Ray Miller from the Weatherology Weather Center. Partly cloudy skies tonight with temperatures falling back to around 25 degrees. Northwest winds around 5 miles an hour. Sunny and mild Thursday, 43 for the high with light southwest winds. Friday, sunshine, even warmer. High temperature near 60 degrees with southwest winds at up to 30 miles an hour. Saturday, a little bit of light snow with colder temperatures, a high of 37 degrees. That's the latest Chicago weather update. Right now, it's 36.
Hey, Clerk Elise, you got a guy who can fix my lamp?
I do. At the Township of Lyons Repair Cafe, neighbors help neighbors repair all sorts of things from lamps to vacuums. Little acts of mutual support that make a big difference.
Hey, Clerk Elise, you got a guy who can notarize documents?
The Township of Lyons has lots of notaries on staff ready to help.
Hey, Clerk Elise, you got a guy?
At the Township of Lyons, we are your guys. Whatever you need, we work to bring more resources right to you.
Check out the Township of Lyons online, Lyons with a Y, LyonsTownshipIL.gov.
Are you a parent of a 2 to 8-year-old? Listen closely for an exciting offer, then head to abcmouse.com/radio to learn more. By now, you've probably heard of ABC Mouse.
ABC Mouse is like a little one-on-one teacher. It has helped her so much.
We're offering a promo at abcmouse.com/radio to try it for free for a month, then $14.99 per month until canceled. Go to abcmouse.com/radio to see this offer. That's abcmouse.com/radio. Actual ABC Mouse users compensate for their testimonials, sponsored by Age of Learning.
Because facts matter. You're listening to WCPT 820.
With Patti Vasquez, Patti Vasquez. From global conflicts to greenhouse gases, the folks refusing to wear masks says, and politicians getting caught grabbing ass says, she's driving it home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you so much for joining us. We continue to drive it home. Joining me in studio is my guest co-host for the hour. It's car guy Tom Appel, and we're going to talk to Rob Held. Do you have his information, Lady B? Rob Held is an attorney who grabbed my attention last year as part of the protest at Broadview, and he has been, so when I told Tom when he came in that we're going to talk to Rob Held, and I said he's been flying around the country helping people who are being held in these detention centers. When I say fly, he's a pilot. And so he actually has his own, I don't know if it's his own plane or he rents it, but he's literally flying himself to other parts of the country, whether it's down in I think El Paso, up to Minneapolis. So he goes like wherever people need him. He's a little guy. You saw him. He's kind of a little guy who's like just driven. He's been arrested. He's been in court with some of these crazy cases. And one of the things I've been trying. Oh, he's on Zoom. Oh boy. Well, that's a whole different. Am I in the right Zoom meeting? Because I don't see anybody in the waiting room. I don't have. Oh, you don't have a phone number? Let me see if I can find a phone number. Let's see what we can do here. Thank you for joining us for this production meeting that we're having. This is how I do my show, is on the fly. Today is Wednesday, right? Let's see. In studio. Oh, here, I'll send you. No, it's a phone number. I'll send this to you right now. I got it, because it's probably my fault for not sharing all the information with my producers. It's probably helpful if I do that sometimes. Let me send that to her right there. Come on now. There we go.
I have a hard time producing a 1-hour weekly podcast. So I don't know.
5 days a week?
I don't know how you would do a daily show.
Hey, here's my favorite question to ask you. Sometimes I forget to ask you until you're leaving.
Yeah.
What are you driving?
Oh, I am driving the 2026 Chevrolet Traverse High Country.
Oh, hello.
And this was redesigned for this year. Big car. This is a family favorite. It's a 3-row crossover in very high trim level. But the redesign is very nice. It is very roomy. It is very quiet. It is very refined. It's a Chevy, so it's kind of at the lower end of the 3-row crossover price level. Although I'm driving a really expensive version of it. But nice car.
Yeah, I love the Chevys, but they did kind of get a little, how do I put this, chintzy? They got a little plasticky on the insides there for a while.
I was just talking about this with my daughter. She had looked at the Chevrolet Trax, which is the most affordable vehicle you can buy in the U.S. right now.
Really?
It's a small crossover, very roomy, a lot to recommend it.
Mm-hmm.
The interior presents well briefly. you open the car.
I think that should go on my headstone. Presented well briefly.
Yeah, lots of stuff that looks like chrome, stuff that looks a little bit like leather, and surfaces that look textured. And you get in, and everything's kind of hard plastic. But the car starts at $23,000, so
yeah, that's a trade-off, right?
The fact that you have this brief moment of fake luxury. It's worth something, I guess.
Yeah. Well, that's Car Guy Tom. You can follow him on social media. We're going to talk more about car stuff in a little bit. But first, I want to get to our guest who's on the phone. Rob Held is an attorney who has been fighting for folks who are being held in detention centers around the country. And when I say he flies around the country, I mean he gets into his plane and he flies himself around the country. Rob, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Where in the world are you at this moment?
I am in Dallas, Texas right now, and I did not fly my own plane, which is in maintenance, but I'm down here in sunny and warm Dallas.
Yikes. But you have been all over the country. Is this near which detention center are you now working with folks who are being detained?
I am actually covering a trial of noise protesters, but one of whom shot a gun that one bullet hit a police officer on the collarbone. So you've got multiple defendants being charged with very serious crimes, but including being in part of Antifa and, being domestic terrorists. So it's, in one sense, I want people to be convicted of, what's been proved beyond a reasonable doubt for the graffiti, and for this person who fired a gun at a police officer. But on the other hand, being part of a group that doesn't exist and, being prosecuted for an idea or something that's in your mind is just really foreign to me.
Well, and we're seeing not being a lawyer, Rob. Rob is an attorney, and so he's been at this for quite a while. I'm seeing some very alarming elements even develop, right? When we know that when they called Renee Good and Alex Preddy domestic terrorists, like they have been saying this, that there's this group Antifa.
I literally been in the courtroom all day, and I'm just catching up now in a hotel room, so I did not see that. But you're right. I mean, I go to protests all the time, and I'm on Signal chats and WhatsApp and everything else.
Yep.
Well, there were people in this particular trial in Fort Worth, Texas, who were not at the protest, but they were on a Signal chat. They'd never met the people that, that maybe did some bad acts. So they're domestic terrorists too, and you're right. So right now, I am clearly a domestic terrorist because I've been to protests with other people that have done some things like not like in this case where you got an attempted murder, but, may have trespassed or, sprayed graffiti on cars and so forth.
Yeah. And we know that when we go to some of these events that we know, our license plates are being captured. They're cataloging all of it. And the other thing is, so we had a listener earlier who got mad at me for using the term concentration camps when it comes to these detention centers. How long are we supposed to wait before we actually say that these are concentration camps? Is there some sort of a metric for that? Because I think we're at concentration camp level. Oh.
And I was at the detention center. It's a weird name. It's called Camp East Montana. It's in El Paso, Texas. It's on the Fort Briggs Army base. It's the site where Japanese were interned during World War II. That's the space that they occupy. But what my client reported to me is that she's not getting enough food. She's lost substantial weight. And there are fellow detainees who have fungus and rashes all over their body and are not getting proper medical treatment.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing out of places like Dilley in near San Antonio. This is what we're hearing, that the folks are not getting enough nutrition, whether it's fresh fruit and vegetables, access to sunlight, sanitation. I don't know. And they're buying more property. Okay, so what do you want people to do? I mean, like, obviously showing up to protest, and then we're not necessarily painting the best picture when we're talking about how they're gathering our information, but there has to come a threshold at which enough people are saying enough is enough, right? I feel like the government.
I'm not at the point where I'm raising up the Second Amendment, as some people are, but I am becoming more militant, resolute, and determined that this must end.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's terrifying to think that they're doing more. They're escalating in many instances. I feel like they're escalating, and that we're not reacting at a level that should meet this moment. Right? Do you get that feeling?
Well, everybody has to step up. I mean, it's so bad. And when, I'm obviously more active than many people, and being in the detention centers, seeing what's happening on a real human level where, moms are separated from their children and families are torn apart and people are pressured to voluntarily, leave the country. I talked to a woman who has a successful business in New Mexico. She was visiting her cousin. We were sitting waiting to get into the facility, and she's telling me about her business and her life. And, but for the fact that the administration has, basically created the environment that they have where everybody fears, some people fear coming out of their homes, living their lives normally. She wants to leave, and she's got a successful business in New Mexico.
Yeah. And the thing is that people feel emotionally and physically trapped. Can you tell us a little bit, for folks who seem to think they know the Constitution? We've seen testimony from an ICE whistleblower, former attorney, who said that when he started working for them, he was told not to teach agents the Fourth Amendment, essentially, that it was okay for them to use an administrative warrant rather than a judicial warrant, that the amount of time spent studying the Constitution was cut in half. Just really bare bones. I mean, even firearms training. They basically are given a weapon and will learn on the job. For folks who seem to think that they know the Constitution very well, what are some of the rights that you're seeing being violated over and over again?
Well, the biggest one is, and this is a carryover from England, where our founders wanted people to be secure in their homes and on their person. What does that mean? That means that if a police or the government comes to your home, they have to have a search warrant. And if they don't have a search warrant, they can't come in except for some very limited, circumstances that don't apply here. The point is if they're looking for an immigrant, they can't break down your door. But yet, that's what they have done. And it's really dangerous. And I've argued that what the government is doing is they're putting their agents in danger because they don't tell them that somebody on their side of that door just might have a gun, and they might have the right, I hate to say it, but to defend their home and their family. So that's a Fourth Amendment. And then you're securing your person if you're just in public and an officer, wants to search you and your pockets and so forth. There's such a thing as a stop where they can just touch you to make sure you don't have a gun for their own safety. But an actual search, again, they've got to have probable cause. They've got to have a reason to arrest you. So those are some of the things. And then on the protest side, we've got a First Amendment right to film, to observe, to yell things to agents and so forth. Those are, First and Fourth Amendment rights that, should be beyond debate.
And when they say that they don't need a warrant, due process also seems like it's being ignored completely, because how does an agent determine whether or not someone is here illegally if they're not giving them due process to determine who they are and whether or not they belong here? It's like a snake eating itself to me.
Well, it's a huge problem because what they'll do is either based on somebody being, at a certain place, their skin being brown, their accent. They can, they're allowed to say, can I see some ID? And then depending upon how the person reacts, they can use that as part of the totality of the circumstances to say, well, I had probable cause to make an arrest. So it's a real problem. And, one of the justices said that, you can use the way someone speaks as one characteristic to determine probable cause. But the way the government is using it, the fact is that they are targeting people that look Hispanic.
Yeah. Well, on behalf of so many of the listeners who are invested in making sure that people are safe, that their rights are protected, I want to thank you for the work that you are doing, and I really look forward to catching up with you whenever time allows. I know that you're super busy. Everyone can follow Rob on Instagram. That's where I make sure I stay up to date on the work that you're doing. Is that the best place that you would recommend, or where do you recommend folks?
Rob Held one, but, it's not just me. I know. Talk to everybody, talk to your neighbors, try to stay informed, really just to keep alive what I call the resistance, because what the administration is doing, you don't have to be a lawyer or a rocket scientist. This is just plain wrong.
Yeah, it is. Thank you. And thank you for doing everything you possibly can to get the word out, to, again, fight for people. And we look forward to talking to you again, my friend. Be safe.
So great to talk to you. Take care.
Thank you. Take care. Let's take a break here. We'll continue our conversation with Tom Appel on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal. That was Rob Held. Find him on Instagram, RobHeld1. I think this is a good way to stay up to date on what's happening here and across the country.
Meet Lee Platts, a renter whose possessions fill not only her apartment, but also the darkest corners of a mini storage unit. A land of both truth and fiction. Truth. Everything inside is protected by Progressive. Fiction. One day Lee will fit into her clothes from senior year of high school. Renters. Discover coverage for what you love and what you can't get rid of in Progressive's Protection Zone. Get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and third-party insurers.
This is a WCPT Veteran Minute. During the Civil War, 11% of the Confederate Army was made up of enslaved men forced to join. One of these men was Robert Smalls. Smalls was a deckhand on the Confederate supply ship known as the Planter. During his time, Smalls learned as much as he could about navigating the ship so he and others could escape, and on May 13th of 1862, while officers were sleeping, Smalls, along with 16 others, took the Planter out of the Charleston harbor, navigating through all 5 checkpoints while heading to open waters looking for the Union blockade. Smalls raised a white flag of surrender, letting Union soldiers board the ship, giving them guns, ammo, and documents about planned Confederate attacks. Being a wealth of information, Smalls was given the role of the Union Navy captain. Stories like Smalls are one of the many factors convincing President Lincoln to allow free African Americans to serve in the Union Army. This has been a WCPT Veteran Minute.
Is credit card or other debt making it difficult to pay your rent or mortgage? Home insecurity is often the unintended consequence of an inability to pay mounting credit card debt, student loans, or medical debt. But by working with a nonprofit credit counselor, you can avoid or reduce the risk of eviction or foreclosure while tackling debt for good. For more information about how nonprofit credit counseling can help, visit nfcc.org. Made possible in part by the nonprofit Wells Fargo Foundation.
Hey Google, play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's progressive talk from TuneIn.
If you're listening to this station right now, you've definitely heard my voice before. Hi, I'm Hawk.
And I'm Pete. And we're with Source Solar, your local source for solar. Source Solar is Chicagoland's premier solar installer, providing solutions for over 1,000 homeowners and business owners across Illinois and Iowa.
With over a decade of industry experience and deep roots here in Chicago, we have the expertise to help your transition to clean, renewable, resilient energy.
We can guarantee that we save you money day one without any out-of-pocket cost to you. This means you have an instant ROI, instant payback, and can save money to add to your bottom line day one.
At Source Solar, we source everything as local as possible, meaning we always carry the Made in USA sticker.
Find us online at www.source.solar. Stop in our office at 5710 North Northwest Highway or give us a call at 773-985-3992.
And don't forget to ask for Hawk or Pete.
Welcome back to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you so much for joining us as we continue our drive home. Joining me in studio is Tom Appel, Car Guy Tom. You can find him on all the social medias, Car Guy Tom. And you can also email him, Tom at Consumer Guide.
Stuff at consumerguide.com.
I was close.
Close, yes.
Car Stuff. I have to remember that part. Car Stuff at consumerguide.com. And he has his podcast that is dropped every Monday. Is that right?
Yep. Yeah, late. It drops very late Monday, early Tuesday morning.
So you can wake up to it.
So perfect to drive to work.
Excellent. I love that.
Yeah.
I do want to thank our sponsors, by the way. Thank you to Minocqua Brewing Company. If you're watching on the live stream, that is a banner from Minocqua Brewing Company. It's from the 2024 election. It says choose reason over treason. I cut the date off the bottom of it because I don't remember the election on November 24th. Last night was a jarring reminder of what happens when people disengage from the entire political system or think that, what difference does it make? At any rate, go to MinocquaBrewingCompany.com. We have been successful with our Kickstarter program. If you want to get involved and support the marketplace that we are creating to challenge Amazon, we would love to have you join us. That's MinocquaBrewingCompany.com. You can find our marketplace Kickstarter on Kickstarter.com. And my latest piece was about concentration camps not trending. I will be talking more about the kids that have been taken into detention centers across the country. Some of whom have been shipped to countries they've never even been to. A 2-month-old who had respiratory distress, and his family was basically, they didn't want to have him treated here. They didn't want him to die here. So they dropped him off across on the other side of the border. So for everybody who's like, well, were they here legally? Miss me anytime you try to pretend like you're a Christian. That's all I'm saying. Neither here nor there. MinocquaBrewingCompany.com. And please subscribe to our Substack. Also want to thank our friends at Source Solar. Go to source.solar. Make an appointment with our friends, Peter Sorellis and Warren Price. It might be time to get solar panels on your house or business, and spring is right around the corner, so get the ball rolling now. We also want to thank our friends at Pride Coffee Roasters. Go to pridecoffeeroasters.com. Put in an order for their incredible single origin beans that are roasted to order. I swear to God, as soon as you hit order, Patty, Jackie, or their dog Iggy runs and pushes a button on their roasting machine. That's the way I imagine it. Do you ever watch Wallace and Gromit? You know that?
Oh, yeah.
I imagine they have like some contraption where an order comes in and like they push a button and like a ball rolls down a ramp and it pushes like another device. Maybe I'm conjuring up too much of how they roast their coffee beans.
Or it's exactly like that.
I think it's exactly like that. I think they are claymation. I believe that Patty and Jackie would both make great claymation characters along with the doggy. So thank you to Pride Coffee Roasters. They will be at the Edgewater Farmers Market this Saturday, February 28th. That starts at, I know it goes till 2 because I got there at 1:45 and everyone was ready to leave. So don't do that. Get there earlier so you get some of the good food, get some fresh roasted coffee beans, spend some time with neighbors in the uptown area. So thank you so much to our sponsors. And we also are partnering again with Are You Really Winning? March is Gambling Addiction Month, and we want to talk more about that in the days and weeks to come. Now let's talk about cars with Tom Appel, 773-763-9278. If you have any questions or comments for Tom, we'd love to hear from you. So you are driving a Chevy Traverse, you said.
Yes.
The new jazzed up Chevy Traverse.
And this is sort of the new hot segment in the auto industry, 3-row crossovers, 3-row mid-size crossovers. Here's a great, crazy story about that. So people, a lot of greenies sort of were upset with Toyota for dragging their feet into going electric. And then the electric thing didn't really happen, and Toyota started to look really smart because they were all about hybrid. So you did have a very green movement at Toyota.
Right.
Like they do hybrids well. They sell a lot of them. And
sure.
the RAV4
I have
now,
2, yes.
And the RAV4 is now hybrid only. So the Highlander, which has been their second best-selling vehicle forever, disappearing because it's just 2-row, and it's going to come back as an electric vehicle.
Oh,
so
interesting.
you have a big name, Highlander. It's a name that's been in the U.S. for decades.
Yeah.
Well respected. Electric only for 2027.
That's interesting.
It is, yeah. And part of what happened was they came out with the Grand Highlander, a 3-row crossover.
I see.
People just moved to that.
Okay.
So the Highlander wasn't selling any well, and they had this great name, this great historic high-value name, and they're going to apply that to an electric vehicle. So strange stuff. But the Grand Highlander, still out there. If you wanted a Highlander,
yeah,
go Grand.
Well, it's funny because when we were looking for, I prefer used cars. I've bought new twice and it was fine, but I love my used cars. I have a 2010 Prius. I have a 2018 RAV, and the RAV is great. But when we were looking, and this is about 4 years ago, we looked at the Highlanders. I love how nimble the RAV is.
Yeah,
I just really do.
And that's the thing about Toyota products, too. Their crossovers aren't really fun to drive. So if you're looking for something that's nimble, as you said, not really there.
Yeah.
The RAV4 is better. It's smaller. It's tidier. But those are more luxury-oriented. And that's where American mindset is now. Americans think they want sporty, but they don't really. And that bears out on test drives.
Okay. Yeah. It's funny that I don't want a bigger car. I do miss the space and the convenience of a minivan. You know, the sliding doors and especially with a child who has a wheelchair. It was cool, but I love my RAV.
Funny thing, the minivan is making a comeback.
I've noticed that
after literally a decade, maybe 15 years of slowly declining sales in that segment. It's popping.
I've seen Pacificas get much more snazzy looking.
The Pacifica is a legit luxury vehicle now, and they're going to redesign that vehicle for 2027, and I think we might see an entry-level vehicle that's a little bit more attainable, because right now the Pacifica starts at like $45K. Kind of expensive.
My gosh.
Yeah, the Kia Carnival is now the least expensive minivan you can buy in the U.S. That starts around $38,000. They do a hybrid version of that, about $40,000, starts around $40,000. Nice vehicle. And if you're trying to do a minivan on a budget, I would look at that.
Excellent. We do have a question from a listener, or comments from a listener. So I will get to that when we come back about the auto show and what their take on what they saw.
Yeah.
Before we do that, I do want to address folks have been texting me about what happened at WGN Television, and it apparently also includes radio. I am really sad for some of my colleagues who were treated in such a callous, unprofessional way, I believe. I don't think anyone would be surprised that I am not surprised at the way in which they carried this out. But I don't know how much Dean would want me to share in the text exchange that we had, but I just want you to know that they were, and Sean Lewis I've talked to as well. These are incredibly professional broadcasters who did a great job, who fans loved. Dean did such a wonderful job of elevating just Chicagoland in general, highlighting the arts, having wonderful conversations, and with an air of like whimsy. There was a little bit of, there was always a little bit of like,
he's a funny guy.
He is very funny, and truly, obviously, he loves Chicago. He loved what he did, and people loved him for doing it. And I think that they treated him. I mean, he should have been able to go out. Maybe. I mean, I get the Tom Skilling is another level, but I mean, if Dean had wanted to call it a night, right, and said, "Hey, it's time for me to go," he should have had that opportunity, and they did not afford him that because he'd been there for 35 years.
Wow,
radio and television. So I'm so sorry to him and everybody else that were given the axe yesterday. At any rate, thank you guys for wondering what I thought about it, and it was awful. And I will say this as well for folks. A significant number of them were members of the LGBTQ community, and I don't know how much that reflects on the decision. I just want to put that out there. More in a moment on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal, KKNW 1150, KTNF AM 950. Thank you for joining us, Minneapolis. We always love having you. And Seattle, too. How y'all doing? More in a moment with Tom Appel.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
I'm meteorologist Ray Miller from the Weatherology Weather Center. Partly cloudy skies tonight with temperatures falling back to around 25 degrees. Northwest winds around 5 miles an hour. Sunny and mild Thursday, 43 for the high with light southwest winds. Friday, sunshine, even warmer. High temperature near 60 degrees with southwest winds at up to 30 miles an hour. Saturday, a little bit of light snow with colder temperatures, a high of 37 degrees. That's the latest Chicago weather update. Right now, it's 34.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter.
The best words to hear at the TSA security checkpoint? You're good to go. So check before you jet. Avoid delays at TSA security checkpoints by making sure you have an acceptable form of ID. That means a real ID, passport, or other acceptable forms of identification.
Visit tsa.gov/ID to check the full list of acceptable IDs. Avoid travel delays by checking ID requirements, and you're good to go.
Robin Kelly grew up behind the register in her dad's grocery store, so she knows what it means when the same groceries cost more each week. Under Donald Trump, corporations get tax breaks, loopholes, and a green light to price gouge. Families get higher grocery bills, higher childcare costs, high healthcare premiums. It's Trump's economy. Corporate profits first, people last. In Congress, Robin Kelly's been fighting back. Robin took on insurance companies to lower drug costs. She wrote the law extending Medicaid for new moms to a full year because cutting care after 60 days was just wrong. And now Robin Kelly is running for Senate with a people over profits agenda. Medicare for all, so healthcare isn't a ripoff. Cap on childcare costs so families can work. And crack down on corporate price gouging so you're not punished at every turn. People over profits. Robin Kelly for U.S. Senate.
I'm Robin Kelly, Democrat running for U.S. Senate, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Robin Kelly for Senate.
WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter.
Welcome back to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you so much for joining us. We'll continue our conversation. It's our Wednesday segment with Car Guy Tom, our last Wednesday of the month. We check in with Car Guy Tom. You can find him on all the social media platforms, Car Guy Tom, and you can email him at carstuff@consumerguide.com.
Yeah.
Excellent. And get the newsletter.
Yep.
Stay up to date. So did you go to the car show?
I didn't go to the auto show myself, but I was very involved in the auto show. We covered it 2 weeks in a row. And yeah, big show again. Took up the entire South Hall. It's something very close to 1 million square feet.
Jeez.
And though auto shows seem to be shrinking nationally, the Chicago Auto Show remains robust.
I love that.
And if you are shopping for a car, make plans to go next year.
Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely worth it because you can drive. You can go there and sit in a RAV4 and a Rogue and a Tucson and like everything in the compact crossover class or whatever. Do that. And you'll eliminate some of the stuff you need to test drive that way.
I love that. Yeah, I've been going to the car show since not every year. I was invited. I actually got a press pass this year and then didn't get a chance to go. But it was really cool to be contacted and asked if I would come interview people. For time, it was just tough to get down there. But the first one I ever went to, I want to say I was 13 years old. My mom was in the market for a car, her first car that she bought brand new in the United States. And here's the cars that she looked at in 1984, which would be a Chevy Nova.
Okay.
Toyota Corolla, which she ended up with was an 80. She ended up waiting a bit. Was a Honda Civic.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
The Chevy Nova that year was actually a Corolla.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it had a slightly different body, but it was built for Chevrolet by Toyota. And it was probably the most reliable Chevy at the time.
Wow. Well,
because of that.
Well, the joke was that it was a terrible name for a car to sell to Latinos because Nova means no go.
That is a story.
I don't know if it's true, but that was always the joke.
I'm understanding that the story is not true, but it is so commonly repeated that everyone believes it. But the Nova itself, especially the old rear-wheel drive Nova of the 70s, extremely popular in Mexico.
I believe it. Man, they do like their Volkswagens. I will say that. By that, I mean we like our Volkswagens. I've told you many times, I loved my 82 Volkswagen GTI. It was a rabbit. I loved that car.
They used to build Volkswagens in Mexico and in Brazil.
Yeah.
So right there, Central, South America, and then up to Mexico, super popular. And they had a reputation for reliability.
Well, and there were a bunch of cars. It's funny, like the Plymouth Horizon. There was a Plymouth Horizon, and there was one that looked just like it. What was
Dodge Omni.
It was a Dodge Omni. It looked exactly the same.
They were the same car. And what's funny about that is, the only difference was the badge.
Yes.
And my grandmother needed a car, and I really wanted her to buy one of those. People might not remember this, but there used to be a vehicle called the Omni America and the Horizon America. But they were about the time that we saw $39.95 Yugos.
Oh, my God.
These vehicles came out, and they were $49.95 and $59.95. They were a really good deal for a basic car with automatic. So my grandmother would not own a Plymouth. She'd had a Valiant. She didn't like it. She wouldn't own a Plymouth. And I'm like, but the Plymouth Horizon's a nice car for you. It fits in your garage. So I got her a Dodge Omni.
Okay. Nice.
I mean, exactly the same car.
Too funny. Well, at the car show, that one of the early ones I went to in the 80s was when I saw Saturn for the first time. And I'll never forget this. I might have told you this story, but the guy, the floor model, he started kicking the panel of the car. And I was like, what? It was such a straight, I was a teenager. I'm like, what is, how, when we were teenagers, like, what are you doing? This is so stupid. Like, why are you kicking this car? To show that the kind of material it was made out of wouldn't dent it pop back out.
Yeah, people may not remember, but Saturns were plastic. They were a composite material that was extremely robust and scratch resistant. Really good for resale value because they looked good. If you see a Saturn today from the early 90s...
The body's in still good shape?
No.
Because it's plastic.
It looks like it's in good shape, but there's a lot of rust underneath. Only the body was composite. The frames rust out on those things. So you definitely want to have a mechanic look at it.
So here's the text from our listener. I went to the auto show and was really disappointed that Mercedes, Audi, Mazda, Porsche, Infiniti, Genesis, among others, were not even there. I think the auto show seems to be in a death spiral. It was not worth the $20.
What is happening is that luxury makers have become more selective about where they show cars. And
they're choosing their customers instead of the other way around?
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. And if you want to see luxury cars at an auto show, you kind of got to go to New York. And then what's happening, too, is that, yes, they're being more selective about how they spend money. And it's a shame not to see the luxury makers there because Chicago's kind of a big luxury car market.
Yeah.
It's not New York. It's not Miami. It's not L.A. But it is up there with those.
Okay.
So that's kind of a disappointment. But most makers do it. But Mercedes, for example, has gotten some financial problems right now. Sales are down, and they're going to spend money more carefully for a while.
I don't know why this popped into my head as you're talking about Chicago being a luxury car city. I mean, maybe not the level of like LA and Miami, you can roll the top down and all that stuff. But for some reason, my brain flashed to, and I don't know if you've ever had this experience, and I need to know if anybody else has, 773-763-9278. This is specific to Chicago downtown. There's a guy who drives around, especially when it's warm out, with his rooftop open, his windows rolled down, playing opera. And and because he drives down the street like where it's like this cavern, so it echoes in this way where you're like, you look around, you're like, where's the opera playing right now, like classical music and stuff. And I've come across him a couple of times, and I've always wanted to ask him, like, it's kind of wonderful. You know what I mean? Like, because you're so used to like somebody with like hip hop music or like even like loud country music or whatever, but like opera is just sort of. And a great sound system.
I don't know that guy, but driving to work, I used to drive down Northwest Highway from Palatine towards Morton Grove. I would run into during the summer 7 or 8 times over the summer some dude driving around in a Range Rover. He was shirtless, wearing a hat on backwards, and always jamming weird 80s mixes. And like way too much Dexy's Midnight Runner kind of stuff.
Oh my God.
Yeah. But he was having a good time.
Do you have and again, for me, like the quintessential moment of driving with the windows rolled down with the stereo blaring is Genesis. I was listening to Genesis like late at night, and like that one with the big drum.
Yeah.
That shift into the next part of the, I don't know music very well, but I don't know what song
In the Air Tonight?
In the Air Tonight.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, like it hit me. I was like 16 or 17. And to me, that's the perfect memory of driving with the windows rolled down, radio blaring.
Sultans of Swing is my song.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And it was such a good song. It was a good stereo tester. Right. It's such a well-produced song, too. It's loud.
I'll never forget riding with Griffin, and I loved the song Hollaback Girl by Gwen Stefani.
Uh-huh.
Right? So Griffin was like maybe 2 years old, and I had only heard the radio version of it. So I buy the CD of it, not knowing. And Griffin goes, what'd she say? And I said, ship. She said, pirate ship. She is a pirate ship. She says, pile of something else. And... so then Griffin would start requesting the pirate ship song, so I had to get the clean version of that. Yes,
there's the interesting use of the F word.
Oh,
in Dire Straits' "Money for Nothing."
Really?
Look at that F guy. F-A, not but the word the bad word for homosexual.
Oh, Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
And in the song, the author he's quoting somebody. So he's not saying he's quoting somebody. So in England, it was okay to play on the radio, but not in the U.S.
Gotcha.
So basically, there's the original version and a bunch of different versions, depending on what recording you get of the song.
Oh, man. Well, and that's the thing, too. Someone was talking about this, how much our sound systems in our cars have changed. Because it used to be like whatever came factory, right, was kind of okay. My radio from the Volkswagen was stolen. So friends of mine bought, my friends Phil, Dan, and Ken bought me a JVC with it couldn't be a CD, it had to be a tape deck. But at any rate, yeah, I had to get that. The Volkswagen radio was stolen.
There was a time, though, like up until the late 80s, where every stereo in a car in the U.S. was basically the same. It fit in the same slot.
Yes.
And you could just pop it out.
Right.
And that's changed since then. You can't really steal a car stereo anymore.
No, and do they even, like, can you go to, I just remember, like, having all these options, like, this wall of car radios.
Yes. They used to have it at Kmart.
Yes.
There was the Krakow display, which I would stand at longingly, like, wondering how I could come up with $200, and I couldn't.
But now it's all on our touch screens.
Yeah,
you know?
And if you want a higher-end stereo, you pretty much have to get it from the factory.
Yeah.
You could do like better speakers if you want, but it's complicated and expensive. And car stereos are pretty good.
Yeah,
now.
It's changed a lot. I mean, the worst was blowing out one of your speakers and you have like that vibrating sound. It was just the worst. But I'm actually with my 2010 Prius. I've never figured out how to use the CD player. And it actually is supposed to have like I probably should look at the owner's manual. Maybe go online, YouTube. Isn't that I think that's one of the big game changers with cars now. If there's anything you don't know about your car, you can just find out on YouTube.
Most makers produce the most wonderful 3-minute videos, and they're all on YouTube.
Yes.
So if you need to figure out how to do something, you can. And here's one: the changing the battery in your key fob. Is a messy business if you don't know what you're doing, and if you pop it open wrong, stuff springs everywhere. But there are videos for this, and they're really good. And I remember someone at work brought me their Honda key fob and like, you can fix this. You know everything about cars. And I like popped it open, and then stuff just sprung all over my. I'm like, you know what? I'll get this back to you after lunch.
That's gotta be the worst feeling.
I did get it, but it was really embarrassing.
I'll be right back. We're in the studio with Car Guy Tom. It's Tom Appel. You can find him on all the social media platforms, Car Guy Tom, and email him car stuff at consumerguide.com.
Yeah.
And get his newsletter. We'll be right back after this on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal, KKNW 1150, and KTNF AM 950. I'm trying to be on time, Lady B. Look at me go.
Think Theory Radio.
Theoretical astrophysicist Dan Hooper. If there's someplace a light year away from now, there's nothing I can do now that can influence that place in less than a year. No matter what I do, no matter how I build my quantum machine, or no matter what I entangle or what I quantum teleport, nothing I can do here can affect that until a full year has passed, allowing light to get there at the speed of light.
Think Theory Radio with Damian Perdue. Saturdays at 6 p.m. on WCPT 820.
Join me and WCPT Radio at the Southland Friends of Labor 17th Annual Jobs Breakfast. It's Monday, March 2nd in Alsip at Sprinkler Fitters Local 281. This special labor event is free to all active and retired union members and all WCPT listeners. Enjoy a great breakfast and a WCPT special broadcast. I'll be joined by Tom Villanova from Southland Friends of Labor, and we'll be talking with Joe Reinhardt from the Painters District Council number 14, Paul Wendy from Ironworkers Local 63, and Bob Howard from the Chicago and Western Lakes Port Council Maritime Trades. Doors open at 7:30, and if you want to attend, please call or text 708-996-1291. You can leave a voicemail to save a seat. See you on the 2nd.
After serving in the military, life can seem like an endless loop. But the cycle can be broken. You're not alone. Visit maketheconnection.net to learn more.
This is WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Vasquez is taking your calls now.
All right, let's hit it.
At 773-763-9278.
I got a lot to say.
It's Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you so much for joining us. We continue our drive home. It's perfect to have Tom Appel riding Sidecar as my guest co-host this hour. He's Car Guy Tom on all the social media platforms. Again, Car Guy Tom.
Yep.
And car stuff at consumerguide.com.
Yep.
And the Car Stuff podcast.
Drops every Tuesday morning.
There you go. I was telling him off the air that we were talking about this song by Dire Straits that had a word in it that you shouldn't use. And there's certain words that people, sort of it catches them, right? It makes them upset or whatever it is. And I have certain words. Like I think that words that dehumanize are awful. So I made a video not too long ago about Pam Bondi when she said that in contrast to talking about the Epstein survivors, she wanted us to all know that the Dow Jones is over 50,000 points, right? So I made a video calling her a daffy broad, and people were like, I would use a stronger word. So let me explain. First of all, my dad was old Chicago, right? So broad was a much more common term, and he liked to call women daffy broads, right? And he would use other colorful language for guys and stuff like that. But daffy broad was something he would often say, and I realized, so my dad never swore in front of me. And he would say, don't ever let me see you swear. And I'd be like, all right, F you, Dad, and cover my mouth like he couldn't see it. It's kind of silly. But as I got older and I started doing stand-up comedy, two things happened. Actually, before I became a comic, I was at the University of Illinois as a lifeguard. And one of my fellow guards called me two names together. One, which is a derogatory term for a gay woman, and the other was a C word. He put them together. And he called me that because I didn't appreciate him grabbing my ass at a bar the night before. So he called me a DC, which is the best I can tell you guys, a C word. And we were on the deck of the swimming pool, and I got up and I took the chair I was sitting on and I threw it at him.
Wow.
And the joke I've written as a stand-up comic was that a guy called me the C word one time, and I threw a chair at him, and we were on a bus, right? So I changed the sort of the context of it. But I was, after I threw the chair at him, I thought, well, that was a little unhinged. I was 20 years old, right? And I thought a word shouldn't make me unable to stay professional, and it shouldn't make me that angry. This guy shouldn't have this kind of power over me, right? This isn't who I want to be. So I spent an entire weekend basically meditating over the C word to the point where I can say the C word. I can be called the C word. It doesn't bother me.
I think, though, if you use the word, you've lost the argument.
I know.
The problem is that people who use the word don't realize that they've lost the argument.
You gave I'm just not fazed by it.
It's just
at
everything's
all.
the turned up to 10 now. All the time. And
the reason we're talking about this is there's two things. One, because of the Pam Bondi video, and I'll tell you why it relates. But some people have been sliding in my DMs. I've gotten several people calling me the C word today alone. And I posted one of them on my Facebook page. Please follow the Patti Vasquez Show page. We would love to have you follow us. We're at 33,000 folks. We'd love to help us get over 35,000.
Congrats.
Thank you very much.
Nice.
But the other thing is, as I was getting older, I realized that my dad would use daffy broad. Like, he never called anyone the B word or anything like that. And so I was like, so he's using this in replacement for something that's much harsher, was what I realized. So one day I said it to him. I said, do you mean, and I said the word, not the C word. I said, let me ask you, Dad, when you call someone a daffy broad, do you mean the C word? And he's like, come on. Come on. And I go, no, seriously. You kind of mean the C word. He goes, yeah, I do.
Wow. I hear Daffy Broad, and I think Lucille Ball.
I know, but that's not how my dad meant it. And so that's how it's an homage to my father and his way of talking and cloaking his disdain for whoever he's talking about.
I remember my dad's generation. My dad's brother-in-law, my uncle, had a pin that he was wearing on his coat, but he wouldn't let anyone see it. And I felt honored when he let me see it. And it was dump the B word, vote for Rich. This is what Jane Byrne.
Really? Oh, for Daily. Oh my God.
What was funny about it was just the word B. And I'm like, then they thought that was out of line.
Yeah,
and
that was outrageous.
He wouldn't let any of the women in the family see this button on his jacket.
Well, my dad never used that word. I'm trying to think if he ever used a-hole or anything else like that. But yeah, I said, Dad, do you mean see you next Tuesday? And he was like, yeah, I do. I was like, I knew it. Oh boy. It's Jim from Chicago. Hey, Jim, what's on your mind, my friend?
Hi, Patty. I heard you talk about this broad thing before, and I've heard Elizabeth. I've heard women like Elizabeth Taylor, for instance. I mean, this goes back a good 100 years. I've heard women say she was a good broad, or
Right.
she was a good broad,
Right.
and it's not derogatory. They're not talking about a piece of the anatomy. It's just a term.
It was it was a marginalization.
Well, yeah. Now, when I grew up,
It was kind of affectionate. This broad, kind of a tough.
Well, no, I don't know.
No?
What would you say? Well, but it's. What would you call a man? What would you call a man, Patty? If you had, what are your girlfriends? What would you say? This guy's a. What is he?
Yeah, exactly.
This is a man.
Yeah. There's not. Well, I think that's what Tom is saying is that we come up with other words for women in order to sort of. Yeah, but we don't have.
But that wasn't a derogatory sense in those days. I mean, maybe, but I heard you talk about that before, and I was thinking about it, because I've heard people use that expression all the time. I've heard women use that expression.
Yeah.
She's a good broad, or she's
Good broad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, I asked my dad because he always he would say, especially when he was driving, he'd be like, "Look at this broad," right? The way the tenor, like the tone of his voice, like it was often like, "Look at this broad." It wasn't friendly.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I understand that. Yeah. Well,
Look at this daffy broad.
You probably say, "Look at this guy. Look at this nut.
Exactly.
This guy." Right? You know what I mean?
This
the
guy.
Same thing. Anyway, Patty, yeah. I just heard you say it before, but I know that's been around for a long time. Anyway, you guys have a good night, Tom. You and Patty. Thank you.
I love that saying broad conjured Jim. That made me happy. I thought it might. Listener says, I don't use the C word. I've always said for years, see you next Tuesday. Sometimes they get it and sometimes they don't. Exactly. Yeah, I do. I was somewhere today. I was having a meeting with Declan's. We have like social workers that come over, and I realized I was tired because I was dropping F-bombs like left and right with these folks. I was just like, I don't know. I'm a little stressed. I think I stayed up late to watch the State of the Union address last night.
I am
2.5 hours, man.
I am a regular guest on the Nick D podcast, which I'm honored to do. But Nick D does not in any way check his language on his podcast. And I'm always afraid to break out myself because if there's a microphone in front of me, I want to just sort of maintain
I don't blame.
whatever level of decorum I can maintain.
Well, and that's true. Like I think a lot of folks who come into a radio studio, like they don't want to set a precedent of being in the room and then using that kind of language.
Yeah.
Right? To sort of get too loose, I guess is the way to put it. I don't know. I actually caught myself. It was when Declan was in the hospital. He had been in the hospital for 8 weeks, and I was exhausted. And I used the S word one time. I was like, oh, but I have a button right here. We know that the button works for me, right, Lady B? The button, the dump button does work. She's like, yeah, it better work. Did they move it farther away from me? That seems dangerous. They did. They moved that very far away from me. It's on this thing. Let's move this over here. I think we can all agree that it should be a little more. No, that's not good either.
That's a very elaborate looking device.
I know, right? Look at that. There used to be two. I don't know what happened to the other one. They moved the other dump button. That's all right. It's better if it's on the right anyway. I just want to be able to see it. But there we go. I haven't used it in a while. Usually it's with phone calls. It's like there's some guests, especially if they're like, we had one at WGN. It was like some sort of psychology professor calling from Europe. So yeah, they were a little bit loosey-goosey with that. So this week, Tom is driving the Chevy Traverse. You never get to know what's coming up for you, do you? What car you're getting next?
I am. I'm driving the Subaru Forester Hybrid next.
Ooh.
Yeah, and if you like the Forester, you're going to like what Subaru's doing with hybrids. They're getting help from Toyota.
Nice.
And a little known thing, Toyota owns a little piece of Subaru, so they're friendly. And they're getting hybrid technology from, if you're going to get hybrid technology from anyone, you want to get it from Toyota. But they've applied it to a number of vehicles now, and the Forester is one, and the Crosstrek.
Oh, great.
The little Crosstrek is one, and they're both much better for it.
I don't know if you're aware, by the way, I forgot to mention this. Our friend Warren Price is now hosting a show Saturday mornings here on WCPT, so we've got to have you in sometime.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Hawk Takes the Wheel is the name of the show.
Nice.
Saturday mornings at 9 a.m.
I was not aware of that.
Yeah, just started. He had his first one, and I'm just kind of hanging out, so he's not flying solo. It can be. I like having people in studio. It's just nice to have someone to talk to.
I'm really bad at not having somebody in studio to talk to. I have a co-host, and I had to fly solo once, and I just kept asking questions like, "Oh yeah, no one's here." Oh my God, I felt like an eighth grader.
Hey, everybody. How's it going?
So there's that.
So and I'm so glad that we're heading into spring because I am so done with this weather. How has it been? Has there been a car that you've driven that was particularly good for the type of weather we had this season? Like in the snow and stuff?
You know what I had at the height of the nightmare? A completely ridiculous vehicle. I had the GMC Hummer pickup truck. And for people who don't know, Hummer made a comeback.
Yeah.
And it's now a division of General Motors, but they're all electric vehicles. And right now there's just two, a giant pickup truck and a giant SUV. And as ridiculous and absurd as they are price-wise or performance-wise, but I mean, they're super high performance. But they were really good in the snow, and they warmed up really quickly.
Oh, man. If you're gonna be in the snow, that does seem like a good one to have.
It was a good winter vehicle. Also, the battery is Titanic, so even if you're not going to get all the battery range you should, it's a huge battery, so even in sub-zero weather, you got 200, 250 miles of range. So
amazing.
Yeah. It's a silly vehicle, but it works.
I can imagine. Well, that's Tom Appel. You can find him on all the social media platforms. Car Guy Tom. His podcast, Car Stuff, drops early Tuesday morning, so you can listen to it on the way to work. And you can email him, carstuff@consumerguide.com. See, it's only taken me about 3 years to get all of your information
But
down
you've
pat.
nailed it now.
Now I've nailed it. I you know what would help is if I had notes in front of me, but I eschew those.
Yeah.
And it's my first time using that word this year.
Issue?
Issue, yes.
I don't think I've said it this year.
I said apoplectic yesterday, and someone was impressed, and that was the first time I'd used that.
How about albeit? Have you said albeit?
I have not albeit.
Okay.
No, but now I have. Let's see what we aspire to next show. Have a great night, everybody. Thank you, Lady B. Thank you to our sponsors, Pride Coffee Roasters. Go to pridecoffeeroasters.com, Source.Solar, and Monaco Brewing Company. Have a great night. Bye.
Today, 1 in 5 working-age Americans has a mental health condition.
People in all types of jobs and at all levels.
And